W Mills versus Hastings Half Marathon. Just 3 weeks after making his half marathon debut at Eastbourne, my youngest brother W Mills makes the venture down the coast to fight the hills of Hastings. A 1 hour 36 on debut was an incredible effort from W Mills, but just 3 weeks later, if he can get anywhere near that at a much hillier course as we see here, he could cement his place in Mills' running lineage. He'd managed to make it to the run on time this time, and he starts with no better person than our older brother D Mills. Let's get going.
3, 2, 1, off you go!
And W Mills is away. I thought he was right with D Mills at the start, our older brother, but we can't quite see him yet. Not quite as busy as my start, being further to the front here for W Mills. You can watch my start at the top right here. But back to W Mills, and we can see that he's already settled down into some reasonable pace for the young lad. The low 3-minute 50s per kilometre are not really what we should be going for here. It is the start, so we always give everyone the benefit of the doubt. But W Mills' PB is about 4 minutes 33, 4 minutes 34 per kilometre, and he's currently going around his 5k PB. Could this be a problem, or is that one half marathon just giving him the aerobic fitness to now just start smashing 10-15 minutes off his PB every time? We'll have to see. This early pace could be attributed. If you look very carefully in the distance, you can see a little orange runner, and that is D Mills. And I think W Mills fancies moving alongside. And would you looky here, William Mills is a very, very naughty boy. He's still going in the high threes, and he's right next to D Mills.
Fancy seeing you here. D Mills and W Mills. Look at us. Who'd have thought? Not me. Oh, is this it? It's where I die.
The lad's having some unbelievable whippy banter there, and as you heard, W Mills realising probably been a silly billy here as we head up the first hill. But at the top of the hill heading back down, still no signs of him dropping down from D Mills. Do we have another Passion Prince on our hands? And there's a lovely 4 minutes 14 first kilometre for W Mills, well ahead of about a 4:30 average that I think he would have been maybe thinking about aiming for. But things happen in races, you get carried away, or sometimes you just feel really good and go with the flow. D Mills here though, in that little downhill, absolutely loving life and sending it. Is W Mills still going to follow him? You bloody bet he is. The Weetabix must have been hitting good this morning. 3 minute 50 per k. Okay, we're downhill heavily now, but we're just tracking D Mills lovely. Bearing in mind, D Mills was aiming for a 1 hour 26, 1 hour 27, some 10 minutes quicker than W Mills' PB. Intriguing. 3 minute 40s per kilometre now. The sun's out, the Mills bros are out. Nothing can go wrong. Just passing the 1 mile marker now, and sensible W Mills has eased it back on the flat here to 350 per kilometre, not stuck with D Mills going at probably about 340. He's got real intelligence, this guy. The real hills are just about to start though. If you notice here, we are 2 metres above sea level. Skipping forward to just past 3.3 kilometres, just over 2 miles, and we've moved up to 36 metres, so that's up a reasonable way in the last couple of kilometres, and we'll put up the splits now. It was a slightly risque second kilometre, 3 minutes 56, was mostly downhill, third kilometre, all uphill, a 4 minutes 40. And this fourth kilometre's pretty undulating, not too bad, before we head up 2 or 3k, up a behemoth of a hill. You may notice that D Mills has gone far away, but apparently W Mills could still spot him with the naked eye, although the camera doesn't quite show him. We will check in at halfway to see how close he is. On this relatively flat section, we're still going along at a solid 4 minutes 10 per kilometre, which is the speed of, well, a 127, 128, so pretty alright for W Mills. as Survivor blares out to spur him on. The final bit of this 4th kilometre is a lovely little downhill section, and W Mills makes the most of it, sending an absolute hoolie down there. He's a rascal. Some welcome cheer there for W Mills, and that 4th kilometre undulating quite a lot. A 4 minutes 10. I would say that's still about 20 seconds quicker than I thought he'd be going at this point per kilometre. 17 kilometres to go. Has he hit it too hard, too early? But luckily for W Mills, most of this 5th kilometre is also downhill, and he launches a 3 minutes 30 per kilometre assault on the field. Quite mesmerising, really.
Absolutely fucked.
Skipping forward to 5.5k now, and W Mills is apparently absolutely something or other. There's a walker on the left who's also feeling like that, it feels like. Who would have thought, after dropping a 4 minute 02 5th kilometre, before going up the quite well advertised massive hill between 5 and 8 kilometres, that W Mills would feel quite this way. And as William is trudging up this hill, we put the 5 kilometre split up, a 21 minutes 10 or 4 minutes 14 per kilometre average speed. And if he can sort of hold this together before the halfway mark and only drop to an average speed of about 4 minutes 30 per kilometre, about what I'd say he was aiming for, then most of the second half is downhill and then flat at the end in the seafront. So he should be able to hold on for a PB. These next 5-6 kilometres are crucial. This 6th kilometre was a 5 minutes 13, absolutely brutal, 50 metres uphill. Now up to 90 metres above sea level as we approach the end of the 7th kilometre. Actually looks like this bit's a little bit flatter than some of the bits just behind. 4 minutes 37 per kilometre. Can he just muster up a little bit something to not slow too much on these hills? But the pain never stops. It's a 4 minutes 51 though in that 7th kilometre. He sped up a little bit, but that's mainly because the elevation was only 30 metres uphill rather than 50. We are crawling along now just below 5 pace, dreaming of that next big downhill section. And right at the end of this 8th kilometre, there is a nice little section downhill where W Mills can just rest easy a little bit and let his body fall down it. He's not going as quick as he was before, but at least it's a nice little breather. 8th kilometre, only a 4 minutes 48 despite the end being downhill. So probably in that 7th kilometre that was a 4 minute 51, he pushed quite hard to up the speed and get it below 5 pace. Before the race, we were told it was pretty much this point at about 5 miles, 8 kilometre, where it was mostly downhill, but I feel like that was a little bit of a lie. I think from now till 12 kilometres, I'd say it's overall slightly more uphill. There is some downhills, but there's a lot of reasonable uphills, especially in the next 2 or 3 kilometres. Needs to dig deep now before he can send it down the hills at about 14 kilometre when it's pretty much all downhill to the seafront. And in those downhill sections you can tell that those hills have now done some damage, and the early speed from earlier on in the race, because he's not getting into the threes like he was before. 4 minutes 20 per kilometre, 4 minutes 10 per kilometre. That is probably more what you should have been doing on the downhills a bit earlier in the race, but at least we've found that speed now. But it's not long until some more energy sapping hills are here to bring the mood down. And a lovely little section there that was quite downhill, almost getting in the 3 speeds at the end of this 9th kilometre. And it's going to be a 4 minutes 26. That is very respectable in the undulating hills of Hastings. But now we're in another uphill section. This is all uphill, this 10th K. It's nowhere near as bad as I think it's the 6th and 7th K. This is only going to be about 15-20 metres uphill rather than 30 to 50. But I don't think W Mills is going to be happy about it. Oh, a little misdemeanour there, dropping the water cup, losing a few seconds, but what a polite, upstanding young gentleman is W. Mills. They don't teach that at school. Oh, and he's really feeling it, stopping to guzzle some water down. Get back in the action, W. Mills. And he's back. A big, bold claim from W. Mills. He's had some water. He's back in the action. Let's see what he can do. Almost halfway there. And he wasn't saying that for fun. Look at this. Absolutely surging past this lot. Imagine what he could do if you gave him a Red Bull. The 3-minute 40s downhill are back in the 3-minute 30s there. That is getting me slightly turned on. Water and a reset. That is special from W. Mills. You may also have noticed that I claimed the 10th kilometre was all uphill, but it's still undulating at the moment. It's the 11th and 12th that are definitely uphill. Very sorry for the misinformation. Skipping forward about 1.5 kilometres now into the 12th kilometre, most certainly heading uphill now, and I'll put the 10th and 11th kilometre split on now. A 4 minutes 23 in that undulating 10th kilometre, and then uphill 15-20 metres, a 4 minute 35. That's a really, really good uphill segment there, so he's still got some left as W. Mills. And if we put the halfway splits on now, 48 minutes 18, 4 minutes 19 per kilometre for W. Mills, that is considerably quicker than anyone thought he was going to go at the start of the race. This is actually about 11.2 kilometres where it says halfway, so quite a bit ahead of where halfway should be. So it's the 4 minutes 19 per kilometre is the one to make note of, and that is the speed of about a 1 hour 31, 5 minutes quicker than his PB. So all he's got to do is do that all over again, and it's a comfortable PB, and most of the second half is downhill. This should be in the bag.
What are you doing here? I started about last. What?
Well, I mean, Mikey came out and it was just from our warm up, and there was just. Like,
Wow.
Like, yeah. Well, you're on for a good time, mate, still. So I think I'm only 2 minutes behind.
I feel like fucking dog shit, mate.
I'm a minute 20 off the 1 hour 25.
Absolute joke. These hills need to end.
Yeah. Said it was 5 miles an over. Per second.
He's going up and down, and I am getting shat on.
That is a charming conversation as I came past W. Mills and told him that, well, things had gone very wrong for me when I wasn't able to find them at the start. You can watch that video up the top right now. And as we both gratefully come downhill at the end of the 12th kilometre, W. Mills has another brother to chase on behind. 4 minutes 29 12th kilometre, still a very good time in undulating city, despite W. Mills telling me he felt like dog pellets. He should now be able to enjoy the next 13th kilometre, as it's pretty much downhill. The 14th kilometre afterwards is the final big test of the day, mostly uphill, 20 or 30 metres. I wonder what form of faeces he's going to feel like at the end of that. The lads crossing paths one more time at the end of, we'll see now, the 14th kilometre. Put the split of the mostly downhill 13th kilometre up now. 4 minutes 09, similar to the last kilometre that was mostly downhill. A very good time at this point. Grueling uphill section now. You can see he's going about 5 minutes 30 per kilometre, but at the turnaround now it's pretty much downhill or flat, and very downhill for the next couple of kilometres. There's a couple of pesky little hills for 100 or 200 metres or so on the way down that are a bit irritating, but he should be able to pick up some pretty good momentum to get him over those little crests. And that 14th kilometre was a 4 minutes 50, mostly uphill, the final 100 metres or so downhill. But it's time now to enjoy the downhill. But are his legs there and available to join the downhill with him?
Oh, God. I feel like the hottest of garbage.
Well, according to that little comment from W. Mills, no. But we have managed to get sub 4 again, 3 minutes 55 per kilometre. It's not quite what we were going for earlier, 3 minutes 40s in the downhill.
Yeah, I got first costume behind me.
That's Will having a little look behind and saying he's got first costume behind him. That's when you know it's going well. But, you know, sarcasm aside, it is still going pretty well. Look, we're picking the speed up now, 3 minute 40s. He might not be feeling good, but the hills are in the right place. The downhills, anyway, at the moment. It's those little uphills that are a little nuisance, and I'll cut to W Mills to tell you what he thinks.
This is a hill I've been lied to. Oh, fuck this.
Yeah, happy days, everyone. He really enjoyed that little hill. It was only 50, 100 metres or so, but I understood. I also felt very upset when I kept getting little uphills, when I was told it was all down from 5 miles. But we're back downhill after the 15th kilometre mark. We'll put that split up now. 4 minutes 21. What's he moaning about? We're now in the fully downhill, 50, 60 metres downhill, 16th kilometre. 3 minutes 26, 3 minutes 20 per kilometre. Oh, my legs have gone. Look at the closing speed of W Mills at this point.
So hard.
Well, it might be so hard because you're going at 3 minutes 17 per kilometre. I don't bloody know. Who am I? Moving forward now to the middle of the 17th kilometre. We'll put that 16th kilometre split up now.
Just a downhill merchant. That's all I've got.
Yeah, you are a downhill merchant, W Mills, but at least sticking some good times in while you're doing it. 3 minutes 55 for that 16th kilometre. Going downhill at the moment, 3 minute 40 per kilometre. I don't think this kilometre will be as quick overall because the start of it was a bit uphill. Probably why W Mills was saying he was a downhill merchant, because he was going very slow in the uphill bit. But there shouldn't be any more hills now. It's just down to the seafront at 18, 19k, and then straight along in a nice flat bit.
Sort your life up. Fuck it.
He's absolutely loving life out there. What a time he is having, and he's stuck in for that 17th kilometre. A cheeky little 4 minutes 10. It was overall 30 metres downhill though, so we're going to see when it flattens out in a second what this chap's got left, because on the face of it, all right kilometres, but from the words being expressed from his mouth, he's in a little bit of bother. Are the hills papering over, the downhills I should say, papering over the cracks? And on to the seafront W Mills heads with some fantastic support from the locals, giving him a little bit of adrenaline for a little burst behind this blue top chap that he's been fighting with to and fro most of the race. Flattening out now, and if he can keep mid 4 minute 10 kilometre speed that he's going at the moment, he's on to absolutely obliterate his PB. A lot of moaning coming from the boy at the top of his game. The speed is slowly dwindling. But 4 minutes 30 per kilometre, that's what I thought he would have been going at the start, so if he keeps that, not the end of the world.
Got to the seafront and it's so windy.
4 minutes 25 for that 18th kilometre that was 13 metres downhill overall, now completely flat, and as William told you, a straight headwind into his face is about 30 kilometres or so. It was pretty awful. He slowed down to the 4 minute 50s, 3 kilometres to go. Can he just hold it together to get a PB? It should be a PB whatever, but how big can he make it?
Oh guys, I've got nothing left. I'm just over 2k left.
Tough times indeed for W Mills, but he's got to have something left because he's not walking, and that 19th kilometre was...
Needed a piss this whole run, and it's really hurting now.
A 4 minutes 50 second. He's fallen back to this quite slow broy place for W Mills at this point, but he did the work early, and now he just needs to stumble home and reap the rewards. Oh, being overtaken by an older gentleman in the green top who's looking pretty strong at this point. Can W Mills make in and another runner? Can W Mills make any response to this? It doesn't sound promising. Passing 12 miles, just one to go. Keep it together, W Mills. I believe in you. 20th kilometre, he's picked it up ever so slightly to a 4 minutes 41. He's just praying for the end now. Just over a kilometre to go. Will he have any sort of kick left, or is he literally going to crawl over the line? He's still got the energy to have a little zigzag around these things. You love to see it. This is going to be his first overtake for quite some time. He's not going to be particularly quick, 4 minutes 50 per kilometre. That chap's just dying a little bit, even more than W Mills. Just over 600 metres to go. Come on, the lad. He's not picking it up massively, but there's another person falling down the order behind W Mills, struggling at this point. Another one just a little bit further ahead. How many more can W Mills take? I still think there's a chance he's got a little bit of a kick at the end. Oh yes, another one bites the dust. I can see at least two people in the vaguely close vicinity if he can really pick a sprint out at the end here. And he's just slowly edging that speed up, taking another person here. Now he's into the 4 minute 10s per kilometre, about to turn left and up to the final straight towards the finish line. And sweet, sweet glory. Give it everything, big lad. There we go, speed picking up, 3 minutes 40 per kilometre now. You can see that guy in the white top in his sights. You know exactly what he's aiming for, and he is coming up thick and fast on him. I think the red runner is more in danger further ahead. 3 minute 10 per kilometre now. This is unbelievable. The crowd are going absolutely ballistic for W Mills. Can he get in the twos at the end here? You bet you he can. Two more runners. There's a guy in the green top that got him about a kilometre or so ago. Can he just about get to him? I'm not sure he's going to quite get there, but look at him. 2 minute 56 per kilometre. Approaching the line now. This is an unbelievable finish. Across the line now. Wowee mama. And it's a 1 hour 34, 24 seconds for W Mills. A PB by almost 2 minutes. He'll be slightly disappointed he lost a little bit of time in the final 3 or 4 kilometres. But a PB, and on a much more challenging course than his first half marathon, he's got to be happy. And let's have a look at the final Strava segment for the final couple of 100 metres. He had the fastest final 190 metre segment of the day on Strava with 34 seconds, 2 minutes 51 per kilometre speed. There I am in 5th place, 3 minutes 12 per kilometre. No D Mills to be seen. Let the family down a little bit. The people that were winning the overall half in 66 minutes weren't on the Strava segment. But you snooze, you lose. So a brilliant effort there by W Mills to get the PB. He will be back on Sunday for the Brighton 10k while I do the Brighton Marathon, and D Mills is also doing the Brighton 10k. So videos will be coming out thick and fast in the week following. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you soon.